1. Let me start this out by saying that hotel staff dread kids' sports teams. Whether it's kids ding-dong ditching other guests, drunk parents messing up the lobby, or generally disturbing other guests, kids' sports are dreadful affairs. Kids are there to have fun. Parents are there to live vicariously through their children. Over my 6 years working in this industry, I've got my share of stories to tell. But one sticks out like a sore thumb. A bit over a year ago, I found myself calling the police to have a team, possibly drunk, middle school girls, and their absolutely plastered parents removed from my hotel. I've worked the graveyard shift at a smallish hotel for the last 4 years. I love it. It's a do whatever you want as long as you get your job done job. I essentially get paid to sit on my ass playing video games most of the night. During my shift, I am the only staff member on the premises. While I'm good in a crisis, I'm not an imposing figure. I am a barely over 5'1", fat, pale as a sheet, baby-faced 26-year-old woman. My hotel has a 2-strikes-you're-out policy when it comes to noise complaints. Doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. I've kicked guests out for fucking too loudly. If we get 2 noise complaints about you, you're out. You come, and you go. If you refuse to leave, I will call the police to remove you. We also have a 10 p.m. curfew for children. They can't be outside of their room without a parent. On the night in question, we were hosting several middle school girls' hockey teams for a tournament. While most of the kids were in bed, there was a group of girls who were wandering the first-floor lobby area. When I told them they needed to be in their rooms, they pointed to a group of adults drinking in the lobby and said they were their parents. I went back to my work and thought nothing of it. A little while later, I was on my way to deliver something to a guest when the girls joined me in the elevator chatting loudly. When I warned them about our noise-compliant policy, they just laughed at me. I knew I would be kicking them out when I saw one of them waving to the security camera while I was in the back office. A little while and one noise complaint after that, the girls walked through the lobby with one of their dads, and I warned him that I'd have to kick them out if I got another noise complaint. He laughs. Their parents in the lobby tell me they have no idea who those girls were. One of them comments that he thinks the girls might be drunk. Bear in mind, these girls are only 12 and 13 years old. I've done housekeeping. Parents have no problem leaving booze out in the room they're sharing with their kids. Not long after comes the death knell, the second noise complaint. I grab my phone and head up, get to the room, and it's just the 6 girls and no parents. I tell the girls I need them to take me to their parents because I'm kicking them out. One of them calls their mom and tells her we're kicking them out. I've dialed 911, and I'm on the phone with an operator, who tells me to walk away from the situation. I go to the elevator, trying to no avail to get one of the girls to come with me and take me to her parents. I should note that there are 6 girls and 6 parents. One of the moms walks up to me, while I'm headed to the elevator, entitled Mother 1. "I can see you're having some issues right now. You just need to calm down. No, your families need to leave." She continues to try and comfort me about my personal issues on the elevator ride down. I get off the elevator and find myself backed against the wall by 6 drunk, angry parents. Entitled Mother 2 says, "My daughter says you put your hands on her, and she has video." "We're paying a lot of money to stay here," says Entitled Dad 1. "Look, I can tell you're young, and I'm much older than you," says the third one. "And I want to talk to your manager," says Entitled Dad 2. I am the manager, slight fib, but I am the most senior person on staff at the moment. All parents continue like NPCs with only 3 dialogue options each. Now that one of them thinks I put my hands on her child, I'm scared shitless I'll get hurt if I make the wrong move. I eventually manage to slide along the wall and have a clear path to the front desk, bolt to the back office, lock the door, and wait for the cops to arrive. 2 officers arrive. One comes to the back and I give him a rundown of the night. The other officer goes to talk to the parents, and entitled Mother 3 does most of the talking. That officer has the patience of a goddamn saint. After an hour of talking and a few uncalled for snide comments from me, cops head out. I tell them my manager will get the security cam footage for them. Parents and kids grab luggage trolleys and bring their stuff down. Parents have a 9-hour drive ahead of them. One of them broke the mini fridge in the room. Standard charge for $250 for that. One of the most infuriating comments that keeps popping up through this whole ordeal was, "I'm paying a lot of money to stay here," or variations thereof. Everyone is paying to stay here. All 100+ guests in this building are paying to stay here. Paying for a hotel room does not entitle you to stay at that hotel if you don't follow the rules. Entitled Mother 3 calls the next day. She says she'll call the police on me. I tell her to go ahead. I've broken no laws. She said that she knew I was going to charge her for damages, not realizing that she's basically confessed to breaking the fridge. She says I've traumatized the girls. Who will the jury have sympathy for, yada yada. Eventually gives up and hangs up. 2. Oh geez, I need to vent. I work at a hotel next door to both the concert venues in town. A few days ago, Chicago was being performed, and there was a good-sized snowstorm, so we were having a fairly busy night. This lady comes in with her older teen or early 20s daughter, and is a bit stressed because she just drove like 4 hours in the snow to come see Chicago as an early Christmas present for her daughter. I was in the back when she arrived because our lobby is connected to a restaurant, and it was super loud and crowded. I was watching the security cameras, but it was hard to tell who was coming into the hotel and who was waiting for a table. So once I noticed them, couldn't have been more than 3 minutes, I came out and did the normal script. I had to be louder than normal because of all the people and the safety glass and my mask all combined. So I asked her for her ID and the card she wanted to pay with. She says she has cash. You can probably see where this is going. I tell her no, I can't take cash. She very nearly bursts into tears and tries very hard to guilt me about company policy that I have no control over. I just tell her again that I can't take the cash. She leaves crying and screaming at me about her daughter having to sleep in the snow or whatever. A little while later, like 30 minutes at most, the daughter comes back and has her grandmother on the phone, and I get that card. Technically against the rules, but within them enough that I'm not going to get in trouble. And I did feel bad for them, because my mom and I have been in slightly similar situations in the past. There ends my interactions with these two. Cut to yesterday, and the downright ridiculous review she left on Google. Firstly, she does not spell my name right unless it's in the middle of a sentence, when I guess autocorrect fixes it for her. My name is pretty common. Secondly, according to her, I left her waiting at the front desk for 30 minutes. Thirdly, apparently, according to her, I yelled at her and snapped at her several times. Rawr. Fourth, I told her several times that she can't stay at our hotel. I deliberately avoid saying that phrase unless the person is being extremely belligerent or doing something illegal, so I know I didn't. Fifth, I was so scary that she had to send her daughter in the second time because she couldn't be in the same room as me again. The review goes on to try to earn pity points by saying she's in disability for PTSD and had to save up bottle return money to do this for her daughter, so that is why she only had cash, etc., etc., etc. She booked third party. There were, by my manager's count, about 4 different steps in that process where she would have been told that she needed a card with the full amount plus security deposit in order to check in. Never mind the fact that it's plastered on the safety glass at face level. So why she couldn't have read it in that supposed half an hour of waiting is beyond me. She ends the review saying the hotel room was nice enough, but she couldn't enjoy it all because of the experience she had with me. Luckily, I have an extremely good manager and work for a company that is very good to their employees. So she wasn't buying any of it, and just responded to the review reminding her of the card policy. We had a good laugh about it today. The lady left a bunch of small liquor bottles and a huge mess in the room, plus, according to the CCTV, had a third unmentioned person in the room that I didn't even see. So... Anyway, just wanted to get that crazy customer story off my chest, because I was so mad about it. I'm sure everyone has similar stories. 3. I've been at my hotel for about a year now as a night auditor. Every now and then someone strolls in some odd hour of the night, needing to use a restroom or make a call or something or other. Typically, I'm pretty lax about it and watch the cameras like a hawk and time them in the restroom just for safety reasons. Recently, I've been feeling generous, especially because it's freezing out, and let people do their thing really quick, and if a non-guest comes in and I feel they've been here for too long, I politely ask them to leave, and had never really had a problem with it. Now, technically, our policy is no non-guests in the lobby after a certain time. Our entrance has 2 sliding doors, and the second one, the one that goes into the lobby, is supposed to be locked after 11, but has been broken for some time now, so I can't use it even if I wanted to. To get to the point of the story. This morning, around 5, some guy walked in needing to use the restroom. Right off the bat, I'm incredibly uncomfortable in this man's presence. To preface, I don't think he was on drugs. I know what someone on drugs looks and acts like, and it wasn't that. He comes to the desk asking where the restroom is. I point him to it, and he says, "Okay." Then proceeds to start rambling my ear off about a bunch of nonsense about, "If you've known about the last 15 days I've had..." And he said something along the lines of, "Do you know why I'm here? You'd never believe it even if I could tell you." At this point, I'm super uncomfortable in typing away on my computer, filling out the rest of the night audit document, and he goes, "Are you typing about me?" Red flag. I tell him no, and he starts saying, "I promise I'm not a danger to you." And, "I'm a real nice person." I point to the restroom and say, "If you still need the restroom, it's right there." He disappears into the restroom for a couple of minutes and comes out and sits in the lobby. I tell him he can't stay for too long, and he said he's just waiting for a call. I wait another 20 minutes, and breakfast is getting ready to start. I apologize and tell him he needs to leave, and he goes to the bathroom again. And a minute later, he comes out with a bead of saliva swinging off of his chin, telling me, "You're gonna make me walk back out there in the cold." And I just say, "Yes, sir, I'm sorry." And he's off on his way. I don't know why, but he just gave me the most off vibes I've ever gotten, and was making me super uncomfortable the entire time. Point of this story. From now on, I'm 100% enforcing that no non-guests after midnight rule. I don't care if it's a bathroom emergency or you're freezing cold with hypothermia. If you're not a guest, and if you can't prove you're staying at this hotel, bye-bye. That guy was so weird it genuinely unsettled my spirit. I'm not dealing with that again. Thanks for bearing with me through my ramblings. 4. So I'm a 24-year-old front desk assistant at an individual luxury hotel in Germany with over 120 rooms, and on this particular Sunday, I was working the morning shift from 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Around 8:30, I get a call from a normal phone number, not from one of the phones in the rooms. The first thing I'm hearing is this. "Hello, we are staying at your hotel and we can't sleep at all. The beds are awful, and we were promised a waterbed." I was just shaking my head, considering we don't have any waterbeds. There's no chance in hell anyone would have promised any such thing. I asked him in what room he was in, twice, because his wife was yelling so loud in the background. I could almost understand her better than her husband. She was yelling about how she's never slept this awful, and they're gonna find a different hotel and leave, and how her room neighbors were apparently doing the deed all night long, and she didn't catch any sleep at all. When I pulled up their reservation, this 60-plus-year-old couple has been sleeping in that room for 3 nights already, and guess what? They were due to leave that morning anyway. She is yelling about a reduction for the awful sleep in the back while I'm explaining as calmly as I could that no, we will not be reducing anything because if you would have opened your mouth any other day or time, we could have just moved you and made sure the neighbors are quiet. Also checked their neighbors. One room was empty, the other had an 80-plus-year-old couple, so what the hell. While there were people starting to pop up in front of me, waiting for this nonsensical conversation to end, the couple was loudly arguing with each other, and finally, I managed to get them to shut up and tell them to come downstairs when the manager is on duty, if they don't want to believe me. The conversation ended with him asking for my name, which I gladly gave to him, because I sure as hell did everything right. The thing is, though, they never went to complain or ask for any reductions, no word at all. Quietly checked out with my coworker 3 hours later. Coworkers said they were actually very nice to her. I got stressy about it for no reason. But hey, that being the worst thing that happened on a Sunday with over 100 checkouts, the day went very well. P.S. When I sent my front office manager a voice message warning her about how she might get yelled at later, she asked about their name. I told her the name and also the room and ages. Her response was, "Boomer," which I laughed out loud at because I agree. 5. I am the full-time night auditor at my hotel. Approximately a month and a half ago, we had a gentleman staying with us, and at about 3 in the morning, I had a room call the desk and complain that the gentleman across from them was playing music extremely loud. So I went up to the floor, and as soon as I got off the elevator, I could hear the music. It was blasting some love song. As I turned down the hallway, I could see a neon light-up pineapple sitting in the hallway in front of the door. The door was propped open, with the towel with a speaker sitting on top of the towel. I tapped on the door and explained to this guest that I could not have him play music loud enough that it was disturbing other guests, and that he would have to turn it down. He said okay, and picked up the speaker and went back into his room. I've worked in hotels for quite a while now, and know how people can be. So I walked down to the elevators and waited for a moment, and sure as heck he walked right back out with his speaker and stuck it back in the hallway, on the towel. So, I went back down, tapped on the door again, and said, "Sir, you're going to have to take the speaker into your room and shut the door. It's disturbing other guests, and this is our hotel quiet hours," which, by the way, are posted on every floor. I could tell he was a little agitated, but he said sorry and picked up the speaker and turned it off, picked up the towel and went back into his room. About half an hour later, he came back down through the lobby with his pineapple, a couple of heart-shaped balloons, and left the parking lot. About an hour later, at this point, it's approximately 5 a.m., he called the front desk. We have caller ID. He asked me what time it was, to which I replied that it was 5 a.m. And he mentioned that he was still on the time of the town he came from. I told him no problem. He then asked me what time sunrise was. I told him I was not exactly sure, but gave him an approximate, and he told me at that point that's okay. He could look it up online. To which I'm thinking, how come you don't know the time? But of course I didn't say that. He thanked me, and I told him to have a nice day. He stayed the next night, and there were no noise complaints, but he did leave at about the same time with his pineapple and balloons, to presumably go do whatever it is one does with the pineapple and balloons. Fast forward a couple of weeks. He was at the hotel again. At this point, I found out that there were other noise complaints during the day, which of course nobody bothered to tell me because I'm just the night audit troll, and I'm often forgotten about as far as information about daytime hotel activities goes. He once again left the hotel at about the same time. No pineapple this time. Just a bunch of 6 or 7 heart-shaped mylar balloons, and went and sat in his car with the balloons tied to the front bumper of the car for about 2 hours. As he was not disturbing anybody and not making any noise, I of course didn't say anything to him. There's no law saying he can't sit in his car with a bunch of balloons tied to it. He came back in at 6 a.m., which is breakfast time, started playing pool and proceeded to turn his speaker on full blast. The same love song type music that he had played the first visit. I had to go tell him that needed to be turned off, that he couldn't be playing music loudly like that in the lobby. Come to find out the next night, he had been rented a room only if he agreed to follow hotel policy and rules, and he was also told he was not allowed to play loud music on his speaker and not allowed to play music on his speaker while in the lobby. Here's where it comes in that I should have been informed of this, because he had been told were this to happen he would be immediately asked to leave, but I was unaware of that. So, he was put on the do not rent list. But yet a week later, as nobody around here seems to know how to communicate, or to use a communication log and write things down, I came into work and the 3 to 11 desk attendant had a story to tell about how once again he had been allowed to rent a room, and this time police had to be called to remove him, because he had threatened our sales manager with a pool cue and refused to turn the music down. So he is now officially on our do not rent list, and I have made it my mission to make sure that all of our desk attendants know not to rent a room to him, as having to call the police to remove a guest is never my idea of a good night. I'm very curious as to what he thought he would accomplish with the light-up pineapple and balloons. The hotel I work at is mostly military and business people. We don't have a lot of families. It's in a very quiet area. There are a lot of people that are just walking through this area and certainly not through the hotel, especially at night, where doors are locked and you need a key to get entry. But I mean, hey, to each his own, as long as it's not disturbing my other guests. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 133. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, I would appreciate it if you hit the like button. It helps YouTube recommend the video to other people, which is something we like to do around here. And if you'd like to get early access to the videos, then you can support me through my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. Hellfreezer on Patreon. You'll also find a link to the Hellfreezer merchandise store because it's never too late to get yourself some awesome Hellfreezer merchandise. You click on over and take a look, see if anything tickles your fancy. And if you'd like to leave a tip for the channel, on a more one-time basis, you can do so during streams and videos like this one. Just hit that little heart with a $sign and select the tip of your choice. While you don't have to do this, and please don't let myself or any other YouTuber think that you should be doing this, I do very much appreciate it and I thank you all very much. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yes, I do have a shout-out to give. That goes to the author of story number 4, and that is Reddit user... It's, okay, their name is Nina, but the screen name is NYCTONENA. So is it Nike to Nina? Or NYC to Nina? Maybe it's like NYC tonight? Maybe, something like that? But whatever it is, Nina, thank you so much for allowing us to use your story. It's appreciated. Okay, I don't think there's any other business, no birthday shout-out, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is... And this one comes thanks to Jamwolf on the Discord server. And that is, what was the first dish you learned how to cook? Or what was a dish you accidentally ruined? Like with somebody like the rice guy in the particular video that inspired this question, forgetting it and burning it, or, you know, the lazy fella who expected everyone to cook his meals for him, if he just started them and everyone else would finish them. Well, I remember the very first thing, I wouldn't call it a dish exactly, but I was hungry one day, and I was old enough by that point to attempt to cook something. So my mother said, okay, you can go into the kitchen, and she suggested, okay, go in the kitchen and cook something. And like I was old enough to do it without supervision, so I remember it's a small frying pan, and I really like that frying pan. I haven't had like a tiny one because it's just perfect size for one egg. It comes out with a really nice shape. So my first thing was a fried egg. And it came out fine. It was perfectly edible, and I was happy with that. And I've enjoyed cooking ever since, because I was very lucky. I grew up in a house with parents who taught you how to do stuff. Because we came from a house that didn't have a lot of money, so my father taught me how to do, like, how to decorate. If you're going to have something expensive, figure out how to repair, like, you know, at least the basic things for it and that sort of thing. That's why I've learned how to repair PCs, mobile phones and things like that, because it's just too expensive otherwise, unless it's something you really, really need an expert to do. And my mother was a really good cook, and she taught me how to cook. She helped give me a love and appreciation of cooking. And that's something I've held with me and cherished for all of my days. So while my parents were not perfect people, they had flaws like anyone else, I am very grateful that they left me with this. Why don't you let me know what you think? What were the first things you cooked? Let me know what you think in a comment below. Okay. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. I've got one more video to record tonight, then I can actually make food. So until next time, thank you very much for listening. And please do take very good care of yourself.